Welcome everybody to another pick a card reading. Today's pick a card reading is all about what's coming up for you in August 2021. And so we'll have a look at what some of the key themes might be for you in the month of August 2021, and also what other aspects may also be happening in your life beyond the things that Spirit thinks you're going to particularly be focusing on. So it'll be probably fairly broad ranging. We'll touch on all of love, career, creativity, well-being, any of those sort of things that come up as a theme, and we'll use oracle cards which are under these particular crystals and pre-chosen for you to just fill out any details that haven't come up with the key themes so that you get as holistic a reading as possible for the month. So the important thing is to focus in on the right reading for you, or readings if you feel drawn to more than one. There may be an amalgam of messages across more than one, as I always say. So you do you. If you feel drawn to more than one, then go to more than one. To help with choosing the right pack or packs for you, the first pile 1 for reading 1 has a lapis lazuli on it. Pile 2 has a jade crystal, and pile 3 has a red jasper. Some people find those sort of colours or the crystal energies particularly draw to them, either generally or at particular times. So if that works for you, that will help you choose. Otherwise, just focus in and feel which one is drawing to you, or as I say, ones if you want to look at more than one. When you know what your reading or readings are, the timestamps, as always, will be in the description box below. If you need to pause the video and meditate on this, then do that before you make the choice. But once you know which reading or readings you want to see for August 2021, I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1. I'm going to start the reading with just 3 short 3-card narratives from a particular tarot deck to ask Spirit to tell me what are the 3 top areas or issues that you can either leverage, benefit from and really enjoy in August 2021, or where there are things that you could potentially address and deal with, and challenges and choices that you might have to have, because this will give us a sense about the themes for August 2021 for you, and then we'll be able to broaden that out, as I said, or get even more detail with the things that have come up as we go through the reading. So Spirit, for pile 1, give me the first of 3 key themes that is going to really impact them in August 2021. So I think this is a really good start for a theme. It looks to me as though in your career, or possibly your creativity, something that is very much connected to your personal brand and to getting recognition and having a sense of victory is going to start to flow more easily. It looks to me as though you felt a bit stuck. So whether that's creatively or with your career, whether it's still the sort of issues coming off the pandemic in terms of being able to see the people you work with, or being caught at home, whatever that might be. But there's something, I think, which you're moving out of, you're starting to see the way to move out of, that has made you feel stuck or made you feel worried about whether the effort you were putting into things is really going to pay off. This is saying that it will. It's saying that the dedication that you have to your career, or to any sort of material thing that you've been working on. So it could also be in a relationship. You finally might have a breakthrough to have someone who you've been interested in, seeing that yes, you're the right person for them, something like that. But I do think that most of you, it's more around career or recognition. So if you have felt, as I say, stuck, you will get the aha moment that comes with the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords, when it works really positively, is when we realise that the restrictions that we think are around us are really more self-imposed than anything. Or if there are legitimate external restrictions around us, we find the way out. If we start to think about how to get success rather than what's stopping and blocking our success. If we don't have that aha moment, we move into the 9 and we get even more anxious about it. And the 10, we sort of feel like we've got to go back to the beginning. But I don't get that sense around this. I get, because we've got the 6 of Wands, which is about recognition, about victory, about having that surge of creative and ambitious energy, along with the Knight of Pentacles, which shows you put the work into whatever this is. I think you're moving into a much more favourable phase for your career or your creativity or anything around your personal brand. So I think our first theme for August 2021 is that aha moment that starts to bring you the recognition that you deserve for the commitment and the work that you've put into something. Excuse me, pile 1. Spirit, tell me another key thing for pile 1 during August 2021, please. So I think this may relate with many of you too, the first theme. I think it might be the next progress of this. It could also be something different. I'll talk about both. But firstly, as a next step is that once you've had that realization and you start to get seen, it looks as though you have some decisions, and they're decisions to come out from behind the scenes to some degree and to bring something that you've been nurturing in some way into being. But you do have to make the decision to do it. So I feel like for many of my pile 1, what's happening here is that your skills, talent, dedication and so forth is going to start to get recognised in August 2021 by the right people, the people that you would want to recognise it, whether that's at your work, whether it's industry professionals, whether it's online, whether it's friends, whether it's family. There is definitely that step that then brings a decision that makes you feel a little bit more courageous about taking something out into the world. I do think that many of you have been a bit shy about taking something forward. You've maybe been, with the 8 of Swords, you might have been a bit of a perfectionist. You might have felt something has to be absolutely perfect. If you connect the Knight of Pentacles and the 8 of Swords together, you can get a perfectionist side of things. But I feel like you've got good feedback here from people. You've got noticed, and that brings this decision. You feel a lot more able to bring something out. I think one of the challenges for you will be whether you think it's quite ready yet. And I think what Spirit is saying is that's okay. You can be talking to people about a work in progress. This is the beginning of something much bigger. So don't suppress your own creativity. For some of my pile 1, this could also be some decisions that you're making in this as a very different theme about family, about whether or not you want to start to think about having a family if you are in a committed relationship, for instance, and also the impacts of such things on your life, your work, how you are out in the world, whether you in fact want to concentrate more on that rather than on career, for instance. So for some of you, the decision is very much around family and nurturing and those sorts of issues. It could also be that some of you are parents already, and there is an opportunity to make more contact if your children are grown up, for instance, an opportunity to make more contact with them than possibly you've had. Again, because we're looking at the impacts of the long-term impacts of the pandemic, it may literally be showing that you have some opportunities and decisions to see your family, maybe your extended family a bit more. So there's something potentially around family and greater contact for some of my pile 1. But I think for many, it's more around this creative energy, this career energy, and so forth. So, Spirit, please give me a third major theme for pile 1 during August 2021. Okay, so I think for many of my pile 1, there is a dominant theme overall, and this has to do with you getting more and more courageous about bringing your personal brand, your creativity, your career out into the world, and you are really becoming stronger and stronger with this. The nice thing here, remember I said that with the 8 of Swords, it can go into the 9 of Swords and be a problem. This is going into the 9 of Swords reversed. That says that you're releasing that. Something is coming for you, pile 1, validation in some way, an aha moment for you that comes from that, but it feels very much like there's an external validation of some sort. It might be quite small, it might be quite major, but whatever it is, it's releasing you from your own sense of self-doubt, which is lovely, and you're realizing how well developed what you've done is already, that you have really put the work in. The Page of Wands here suggests you've gone through the 1 to the 10, whatever you've been working on, whatever you've been trying to create, or even your personal brand, as I say, has been well developed, and it's ready for the next level, ready for the competition at the next level. So that's the other thing that's going to come. It's like Spirit is saying that now you're ready. Now you are being noticed. Now you are getting some traction. that just takes you to the next level. The thing about the Seven of Wands is that whatever depiction you see in whatever card, there's always the sense of one dominant wand in it, and it tends to be if a person is in the picture, they're holding that dominant wand, they're above the competition. In this card, you can see there's a golden wand, and that is your particular position in this. You are well ready for the competition that you may have. So if you're thinking about going for a promotion, this is a very good time to start applying. If you are given some opportunities in your organisation, this is a very good time to take that on. You are more than ready for it, and people realise that. If you've got a creative project, ditto. Get out there and start talking about it. Come out from your sort of shell, because it's very well developed, and the more you do it, the more you move out of the restrictions you put on yourself. So August is a time for growth for you, a time for greater recognition, a time for a breakthrough. And whether the breakthrough is small, just the beginning of a long journey, or whether it's the breakthrough that creates the supposed overnight success, which is always about people who've done the work. It's never really overnight. Whichever it is, this is a really auspicious time for you to come forward with what you do. So the themes are all interrelated. This is I feel like it's a very quick, once this occurs, it's very quick with all this sort of wands energy that you have here, but your only issue is making your own decisions and backing yourself. So as I say, there is something potentially around family for some of my pile one there. And this could potentially also be, if it is around a child, particularly a grown child that you're focusing on, they're coming out of a period of anxiety and feeling more ready to be in the world. So for any that responded to, there's a good sense of that, and it's a good time to be connecting with them and supporting them. But I do feel for most of you, this is a time for you. This is a time for you to go forward. So there's two other tarot decks I wanted to use in this. One to look at career and creativity and that kind of thing, and the other to look at relationships. So I think I will start with the career one to give you a bit more information about that. This is in a deck that is based on sort of corporate organisations. So if you are in an organisation, it'll really align, but if you are not, and this is creative, a lot of the principles that are in this equally apply to your own business, your own brand, your own creativity. So let's have a little bit more of a look. Let's ask Spirit for a little bit more information around the career aspects, the making money and being seen in the world type aspects for my pile one in August 2021. So in this particular pack, brand is like cups and data is like swords, but it is very much connected to business world, to doing things in some way as a business, even creativity. This is suggesting that part of your aha moment around creativity, around your career, has been you've worked out what hasn't really worked for you, where you haven't had the recognition. But there's always, with the Five of Cups, which is essentially what this card is, there's always, as here we've got two hearts, there's always something left in your kit bag. There's always something else that you can do. And this is connected to the brand Ace. So that's like the Ace of Cups, which is a new inrush of energy around creativity, around feeling like you belong, feeling like you're on the right path, you're in the right work culture, you're being recognised again, this is saying this, and there's so much opportunity around it. I do feel with many of you, as I say, some of you it may be the big step into the overnight success, and then you've got to kind of quickly work out what to do with that and how to manage that sort of leap. But I think with many of you it's the beginning of a journey, but it's a very positive journey. It has a blessing around it, again, because you've done the work. You've worked out already what isn't working, and you've been able to detach from some of the emotional patterns that you might put on something. So if you have been a perfectionist, you've worked out you have enough to move forward. So that's very well aspected. What this tells me with the Ace of Swords and then the Two of Swords reversed is that part of your issue around this, and this is where the sword energy comes up, is that you really like to know everything you can possibly know about something before you move forward with it. It's part of your being a perfectionist. So whether it is creative or whether it's in your career, you really like to know and understand intellectually what this means. You're a highly creative person, regardless of whatever career you're in. You're highly creative, but you seem to filter your decisions through your mind. And I think this is partly saying listen to your heart as well, because this is not reversed, whereas this is reversed. What can happen if you don't listen to your heart and understand that, and what Spirit's saying, is that you can miss some of the opportunities that are there. It could be for some of my pile one that this recognition at first is subtle, that you start to get a sense of it, you start to get some good critiques, you start to get some approvals, but it's subtle to start with. So I think this is saying listen very carefully for that, because stuff is coming through for you. It's the first inrush of this type of energy. And when you start to get it, make the decisions that you need to make, because with the Two of Swords or the Two of Data reversed, you may not grab the opportunity. I think this is why Spirit had those three cards there, saying that you are going to need to make a decision to come forward with what you have, and it may not be complete, but it is far more developed than you possibly give it credit for, because you want everything perfect. But move from the perfectionism into the heart of what you're doing, and you're going to find that that turns that energy around, and it will probably bring the information to you that you need. So there's a lot around that, and as I say, there's potentially issues around family and so forth. What I didn't see a lot of, unless this is around a relationship and finally feeling the courage to move out into a relationship and show your hand and show that you're interested, there wasn't a lot of information about that. But we all care about love and relationships in our lives. So let's ask Spirit in August 2021, what sort of energy is generally around love and relationships? And this is all relationships, not just loved ones. So this is suggesting that many of my pile one, you may have had some difficult times around relationships in the not too distant past. I feel like many of you maybe aren't in a relationship, or if you're in one, you felt a little bit disconnected from it. And it may be just as much because you've been focusing on your career or your creativity. It may not be always that your partner is not connected to you, or it may be that the two of you are the sort of people who are together but also separate because you're both very independent. But there's just a sense that relationships and love has not been the main focus. You've been very focused on your mind, very focused on getting things right. And Spirit doesn't think that's a problem, because you did need to do the work to be able to bring this energy of growth and opportunity in for you. But there is a potential here again that even in your relationship life, you focus a lot through your mind. So it's very important to you, I think, with relationships that there's a meeting of the minds. And if you don't feel you have that with a partner, or you'd rather be alone, that's the sense here. But there is some stuff from the past that you're processing. It's almost like you don't fully believe that a relationship can deliver on what you want. So if it's a love relationship, I think it's you haven't either felt able to commit, or you felt the people around you haven't been able to commit. You're just processing this in August 2021. If you're with someone, you're processing whether or not the commitment is mutual between you and your partner. So it's not the main theme, but it's all going. This is what happens with you actually, pile one. A lot happens with you under the surface. A lot happens in your subconscious, and then it comes up. This is what's happened here, I think. It's been the understanding and picking up the cues and so forth has been operating on an almost unconscious level, and then it comes to the top and it releases. So you're like a slowly boiling kettle, but it gets there, and when it gets there, the release is really extremely good. It's because you've done the work on a kind of subconscious intuitive level. But it comes to your mind, it comes in thoughts, it comes in words in some way. Maybe you write poetry, maybe you write a journal, something like that brings this stuff up from the subconscious. It's very psychic in a way, but you wouldn't necessarily always think of it as psychic. So I think that Spirit is saying that work is being done. Now, for the people that I felt could be related around family, again, there's a sense that maybe you've been separated from your family a bit, and it could be circumstances of the pandemic. It could be something else as well. So I think Spirit is just saying here that understanding that and limitations and working out when there are decisions that you can take to connect more will be a good thing to do. If any of you have been a bit separated from family or friends because of a dispute or a different way of looking at things or different politics or anything like that, most of the work around this has been done, in the separation, and there will be an opportunity to do something with it. But whether it's August 2021 or not, I'm not sure. It may be further on. I think you're going to be very focused on the sort of creative career aspects in August 2021, pile 1. So let's have a look at some of the oracles that were under the card. So there are oracles that are about general well-being, there's oracles about spiritual, there's oracles about love, and also astrology. So I'm going to start with the love ones because that's a natural connection from talking about love there. So the cards that have come out for you. Okay, so now we're seeing some of the connections to that theme as well for some of you. For some of you around your relationships, as I say, you are someone who is processing a lot of stuff almost outside of your conscious knowledge. It's a very spiritual process for you. It comes to your consciousness when the time is right. But part of this is about your connection with family, your connection with others, and how that imprints on your relationships, whether they be love relationships, whether they be friendships, whether they are the family. There's something there. There's something that's been disconnected and you're aware of it, but your spiritual approach is very mature and it processes it before it makes a decision. So I'm very confident for you. You will make the decision you need to make. I do think that you release anxiety that way. That's the more that you understand a situation, the more that you feel comfortable to make decisions, and you will take the time that you need to do that. But there is something in here about thinking about the patterns of your relationships and thinking about nurturing within relationships. So August is providing a time for that, but I do have a sense most of it's happening under the surface. You don't necessarily have to focus on it a lot because it will come up when it is right to come up. Pile 1. So given that, let's have a look at the card that we had for spiritual connections. And you have consciousness. So yeah, this is you. You're really interesting. You really do operate on a different level of consciousness to most people, but you kind of don't know it about yourself. Well, some of you may, but I think most of you don't know it about yourself. I think you think that what happens is that you get an idea or you finally kind of clicks on that kind of data intellectual level, but really there's been so much processing that's been going on under the surface that then communicates through words, through ideas, through philosophies to your mind. That is really where you understand things and you have your strength. The interesting thing is, remember in the cards around your career, it looked like you really just wanted lots of data. I think you think that, the more information I have, the more I'm going to be able to sort this through logically. And you certainly have a logical mind, but your unconscious mind is off the charts, Paul. It really, so much of it happens there, and it's almost like what happens with data when it comes in. You can hone in on it because it's recognition of what you've already done. I think you're the sort of person who, you could skim read a book and get the key things about it instantly because you'd almost naturally be drawn to the key bits of it. You're very quick on that level. But I think many of you maybe don't know that's what's going on. But I would trust it. I would trust that process because by the time it gets to your mind, it's had a lot of deep work, So let's look at your general well-being, some energy around that for August 2021. Okay, so again, we're talking, I think, about relationships here. So it's interesting. I think the main themes in August 2021 are about your creativity and about recognition and taking yourself forward. But underneath the surface, the issues are how that is permeating every aspect of your life. And it's the spiritual maturity about acceptance of what is working and what isn't working in any aspect of your life and what other people can bring to the table, because not everybody has that way of processing information in the way that you do. So accepting that and accepting what you have and accepting it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a work in progress. And then there's also boundaries. So for some of you, there may be issues once you've processed all that about relationships, about the boundaries that you have around relationships. And it could be boundaries that you put up that you can let down, but it could also be boundaries you need so that the work you've been doing on reparenting yourself and aligning yourself more with what you want emotionally can really take. So pile 1, I just want to close off the reading with some astrology information. So there were 2 astrology cards that were also with your particular reading. So the first is fixed and the second is fire. So I do think fire is showing creativity. I do think a lot of you are highly creative in whatever you do. Whatever your career is, whatever your personal brand is, there's a lot of creative, dramatic energy around that you can bring. And it's also that speed that I could see. You could, in fact, be a fire sign. You could be Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or have that strongly in your chart. Or it could be people who have those sorts of characteristics are going to be important in recognising you and taking you forward during August 2021. But this is certainly a good time to be a bit more spontaneous, to be passionate, to assert without being aggressive, obviously. And there's a lot of imagination and creativity around that. So it's really picking up that energy. You've also got fixed, which is the fixed signs. So the other signs that might be relevant to this, either in you or in other people, are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So we've got Leo twice there, so that picks up that dramatic side of things. Fixed signs tend to be what they sound like. They're fixed. They have a concept and they stick with it. They're very committed. And remember, at the beginning you had the Knight of Pentacles. So you are committed to something once you've made the decision. And I think part of that's because by the time it gets to your head, it's really been thoroughly worked through. You've really kind of understood it on that sort of spiritual level, and then you can take that forward. So I think that's okay. I think it's saying stick with what you're doing. You're on the right path. That's what I would read that as doing you. And even with the fire around passion and love, you're on the right path about sticking with what matters to you and working out those boundaries and so forth. So pile 1, I think August 2021, you're really going to take some steps forward. The size of them depends on where you are at the moment, but it is the beginning of a new journey for you. And trust that gut instinct. Trust what's coming up into your mind. Trust that a little bit more than external data, but do pay attention to validation that you get, to people responding to your work. Even again, if it seems small, it's like it's the beginning of a groundswell. So that's really, if I was going to give a term to August 2021 for you, it would be groundswell. So watch for what in your life that is in, and trust your intuition and trust your thinking, because you're really on the right track. So I hope that that's helpful for you in August 2021. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and if so, please like the video and subscribe so that you can know about when I do other readings and come to those. And if you have any comments on this, I'd love to hear about what's developing. But I always say when it's something creative, don't give away too much detail about it, because you have to protect your IP, your intellectual property. But if you do connect with this and you can talk generally about that, I'd love to hear about it, because I think it's a very exciting period for you. Other than that, as I said, I hope I see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2. We'll get to the oracle cards as the reading progressed that were under the crystal that you chose, because they've been pre-drawn for this particular reading. But what I want to start with is 3 lots of 3 tarot cards to give me some themes, key messages, key areas that are going to be important to you in August 2021. So Spirit, give me the first for pile 2 of the themes that are really going to be important in their life in August 2021. Okay, so I think, and this could be either in career or in relationships, so it'll be interesting to see what else has happened. I think that you've been having an interesting time with some friends or a relationship around you. So it could be a love relationship. I think in many cases this looks like it's friends or even maybe workmates, colleagues or whatever. There's actually been quite a lot of conflict around you in some area of your life. So this will apply to wherever that area is. And I think that you are going to start to come out of that sense. You are going to start to find a way to resolve the issues. Whether or not it means that you move away from the scenario, that's quite possible you might. If it's around work, you might start to look for work or find a different job in this period of time. If it's around friendships, you may make some fairly significant decisions about who you want in your life. If it's about a relationship, then it has something to do, if it's that, because we're not seeing a lot of cups energy there. If it's a relationship issue, it has to do with whether or not you or the other person is committed to it, and whether or not there is a sort of a kind of an alignment of what you want materially and what you want philosophically. This could be, the classic couple that find they have very different political views, and that's having an issue for them, or something like that. If this is about a relationship, but I think for many of you, it's a relationship in a broader level, and it has some sort of material impact on you. So some of you may in fact be dealing with a difficult person at work. They may be a person of authority. You may have been having to almost hold your tongue about things, and you felt a little bit isolated. I mean, some of you I'm getting may very well have been almost deliberately isolated in your workplace. If that's the case, I think that August is a time where you start to find your escape plan in whatever form that is. If that is the case, this particular person, the Queen of Pentacles, is manipulative about resources and power. So the Queen of Pentacles, if she was the right way up, would be someone who was nurturing and supportive as a manager. But if that's a manager around you, then they like to have favourites. They like to give to the people that they like and deny the other people and so forth. And they probably draw a lot of loyalty to them from the people that they favour. So there's that sort of sense of who's in the tent and who isn't in the tent around it as well. So there's definitely something like that. But the good news for you with both those fires reversed is coming out of that energy, moving into the 6. So the 5 of Swords moving into the 6 is more peace of mind. The 5 of Pentacles moving into the 6 is finding a better and more reciprocal relationship. And if this is around friends, then there may be a shifting in who you're going to spend your time with and where you put your energy. So there's definitely something about working out and moving away from something where you felt isolated or not really valued. Pile 2. So Spirit, given that's a pretty heavy thing for them to be dealing with in August 2021. What's another key theme for pile 2 in August 2021? So this is interesting. I think this connects a bit to this scenario, or it just might be a more general thing that Spirit is trying to tell you, pile 2. I think this is saying that you have felt hostage to fortune in recent times with the Wheel of Fortune. You have felt like there's been reversals. You felt like you haven't been able to make decisions and take control of a scenario. For some reason, you are going to be able to. There is an opportunity or a choice coming to you that will help you resolve that issue, and which will make you feel you are more in control of your life than you've felt of late. I do feel with many of you, if you're in a difficult workplace, you're going to find a job that you could move to. You're going to find someone who could help you, whether you move organisations or whether you just move within the organisation. There's a decision coming for you where you can feel less the hostage to fate. And one of the interesting things about this for you is we have the 7 of Swords. Now the 7 of Swords, when it's working in a negative way, you have to be very careful about what you're hearing and who you trust. And so there's probably a little bit of that element to be aware of. But I feel in this, because of where it's situated, it's don't underestimate your own capacity to negotiate and decide, because the 7 of Swords working in its most positive aspect is the great negotiator, the person who really understands what's going on. And I feel like Spirit's saying that this experience that you've gone through, and I do think for many of you it's probably around work, it's taught you a lot. The decision that you make next is you're going to be much stronger. You're going to understand it. So if it's not in a workplace, for instance, say you were creative, you've created something and it hasn't, somebody's ripped it off, or they've done a bad contract for you, or something has fallen through and you're feeling hostage, as I say, to fortune. You've learnt so much from that the next time, and when the next opportunity is there, and I think something is coming for you in August 2021, even if it's just the early stages of it, you will be much wiser. And I say be wise as serpents. You will be much wiser in how you deal with things going forward. You've learnt from this. And so whatever this is about, Spirit is sort of indicating to me that whatever the issue, and you have been through an issue, it's been to teach you stuff because you're meant to go further. You're meant to go further in a career, in your creativity, whatever it might be. You're meant to go further. And this doesn't feel like a relationship. If it is a relationship, then you're meant to find someone that you have more of a meeting of the minds with. That if it hasn't worked out, then it's because of that. But I think for most of you, this is really about career, creativity, personal brand. There's a lot around that. And having gone through some reversals, you've now learnt from it. And you then effectively become more the person who guides your own destiny rather than feeling like you're always at the whim of the universe, so to speak. So, Spirit, for Pole 2, give me the third key theme for August 2021. So this could be in relationships, it could be in career, it could be a further step around this particular issue, or it could be in relationships as well. Certainly you're coming up here as the Knight of Swords. So that's the Seven of Swords even more developed. That's someone who really is starting to master their own belief structure and what they want to be in the world. They also can act quite unexpectedly. So I think that there will be an opportunity for you to move on, to change relationships, whatever it might be. It's going to shock a few people, but you will be well and truly ready to do it. It's a cry to the universe. It's the war cry in a way to say, this is who I really am, and I'm going to be authentic to that. And it may shock people and it may shift relationships. It's a good thing to do. Because you are going to be freeing yourself. But don't be surprised if you do get some pushback from people, whether it's in work or whether it's around relationships, because the Chariot is reversed. So you're in an environment, I think, if this is around work, you're in an environment that is really a bit toxic, I have to say. There's a lot of emotional stuff. There's a lot of interpersonal stuff, and I do think it comes from somebody senior in the environment. So when you start to find your way out and prove yourself, and you will be able to do that from August 2021 going onwards, when you surprise people, then there will be people who respond, but you're not worried about it because you're actually releasing yourself from that. It's almost like a drama that you can watch from a distance. And if this is around personal brand, if it's say you're a social influencer or something, the things that you decide to do to get into a better position for yourself and to use what you've learned is going to cause a bit of drama, but it's okay. Spirit is saying let it just happen. It's just a lot of white noise. It's a lot of storm and fury signifying nothing, as Shakespeare would put it. So don't worry about that, because there is a freedom coming for you, a freedom from whatever the boundaries that you had. If this is around a relationship and you decide to either restructure it in some way or move on, then you are going to get pushback. But that gives you even more information to decide, is this the relationship I want to be in, or is it not? So I want to have a look at a little bit more information from two different tarot decks. Firstly, around career, because I think in most cases this is about a work environment. But I also will look with another deck again around relationships and love. So we hopefully can cover both of those things. So firstly, Spirit, give me a little bit more information about the work and career and personal brand and creativity, all those sort of aspects for my pile 2 in August 2021. So I think this is confirming that for many this is something around career, because over here we have a major arcana of the wave. That's like the Wheel of Fortune again with this particular pack. So it's about the fortunes and it's reversed. So it's two reversed things. So it's very much saying that there's been things, there's been changes, there's been issues around that have been a problem, and it has made you wonder whether this is the place to stay or whether this is the career for you or whatever it might be. This is saying, because this is like the Five of Cups, with the Five of Cups, you always have some left. So you see the two hearts there. You always have some left if you wanted to stay, and you can move forward with the wisdom, the wise as serpent's wisdom that you have there. But it also suggests that you have enough in your kit bag to move on. So the choice is really yours. And it's, again, making that choice not to feel like a victim of something, but to feel like someone who's learnt from this, because you have so much further that you can go. This does suggest that you can position yourself very well. So if this is about your personal brand, you've done a lot of work on it, and maybe some of the difficulties that you've actually encountered have been competition. They've been people who did recognise what you were bringing to the table and didn't want to allow that to occur. The fact that we've got human resources associated with this, which in the tarot connects to all the high priestess, or it connects to all the energy that's a little bit under the surface around culture and so forth, it could suggest literally that for some of you in an organisation, human resources are going to be involved. Now, I'm a human resource person, so in good human resource departments, that can be really, really positive in dealing with anything difficult around that thing, but it very much depends on whether you feel you trust your human resources. So that's really a matter for you. But you, again, you've got the wisdom to know. It may just simply be saying that whatever issue you're looking at is seen more broadly within the organisation. It could be coming up in staff surveys and so forth. If you're not in an organisation, it's not about that for your career at the moment, it's other things, then think of this more as the high priestess and think of it as going into your inner knowing and your understanding of how things really work in whatever environment, in whatever industry you're looking at, because there's something there that's going to help you make your decisions. So let's also have a look at relationship, because as I say, for some this could be relationship, or for some, one of the things that might be complicating your work or creativity is partnerships with people that you're in relationship with in one form or another, love, friends, family. So Spirit, what is going on around relationships specifically for pile 2 in August 2021? So for some of you, this could connect to a relationship. I think this is actually separate information, but for some it could be, because there is definitely an issue around here. You're making a choice about relationship, about maybe someone you're interested in, someone that you're involved with, whether you want to be in a relationship at the moment. It does look as though there's a very big focus on your creativity and your career and so forth, rather than relationship. You look reluctant to make a decision. But for some of you, there may be a little bit of an ego battle going on within a relationship for you. So this could be picking up some of this for some of my pile 2. Certainly, either you or the other party is not necessarily committing yet to a longer term position. Though some, I'm getting that for some, this particular set of cards may in fact be a long-term relationship you're in, quite separate to all of this, and there's a decision being made about, do you want to have a family yet, and what impact will that have on your career, your partner's career, that sort of thing. And it looks to me like one or other of you might be more keen on the concept of a family than the other, so the decision is almost being put on hold. So that will only resonate for a particular portion of the people who see this reading, but that potentially is happening there as well too. If this is about broader family relationships, then there is some sort of ego issues associated with it. So broader family or broader friendship, there is something where potentially one person moving forward, and I think it might be you, does cause a little bit, it's a bit like the Chariot reversed here, a little bit of a pushback from some people. So some of my pile 2 might be in a family where it was presumed that, one of your siblings, for instance, was going to be the go-getter, and then you're potentially showing yourself to be that. That might cause a little bit of consternation. I don't think it's a major issue. I even think if you're in a relationship or looking at one, you don't have to make the decision at the moment. I think there's a lot of other stuff going on in your life, and I think the focus of August 2021 is more about that. But be aware that there's almost a patterning occurring across your life, which is you're starting to build yourself and thrive and understand the world, and it's almost like the loss of innocence and really getting how things go on, and that's shifting the relationships around you in some way. So there might be a little bit of adjustment going on in August 2021 and thereafter. So let's have a look at some of the cards that were under your crystal that brought you here. So the first ones are about love. So I think it's a good stepping off point since we've just been talking about that. So let's see what Spirit has to say more generally about love for you. So Spirit does want you to be creative. Whatever you're doing, whatever career you're in, they want you to be creative. They want you to think about that. It does look like many of you are not in a relationship, or you're just sort of like trying to work out what you want in a relationship. That's that kind of energy that's there. So dating is there. If you are in a relationship, it may be saying bringing the fun back into your relationship by, you know, going back and dating again if you've been together for quite a while. Maybe the things that have been going on in your life and potentially your partners have been such that you've got so focused on your work that you've lost the fun potentially. But I think for many of you, it's saying this is just a time to work out what you want. You don't have to make big relationship decisions at the moment. It may also be that whatever you do creatively in your life, whether it's your work or whether it's a hobby, it may be the source of finding people who are like you, and people who are more likely to understand you rather than I think some of the other people that have been around you, pile 2. So let's also then have a look at spiritual energy around you. So we have the language of light. So this is about rediscovery. It's about being a wanderer and being open to new things and about communicating. So I think what this is saying is that you have learnt a lot, and there is a possibility that learning all of that and dealing with the difficulties that I think you've dealt with can close us off to the light and can close us off to that creative wonder and just having fun. So I think it's saying spiritually, it's fine to have learnt this stuff, and you really do need to stand in your own truth. But don't lose faith. You will find the people that are the right connections for you, and you are on the right pathway. And this was really just to prepare you for that, because you have a lot of light to bring. If you've been in a difficult workplace, you're not the sort of person who, if you went into a leadership position, would create a difficult workplace. You're quite the opposite. And you've almost been given that experience so that you know what not to do as you move up the ladder. If you're creative and you found that there were difficulties around it because of jealousy and so forth, don't lose your faith in what you're doing and the light and the channeling of that energy that you're getting. And speaking of energy, 2 other cards that were with the crystal are really to look at general energy for your well-being. So let's see what we have there. Okay, so this is showing this energy of release right from the beginning. You've been a bit in the void. It's the dark moons, dark night of the soul. You've been there. You've really contemplated. You've done the work that you need to do. The void is also not something to be afraid of. If you are in the void or the abyss or whatever it is with perfect courage, then there's a lot of great energy that comes to you and great enlightenment that comes to you. So you've been through that period. You're coming out of that period now. Release is coming for you. So have faith in that. There is an opportunity coming. There will be a decision coming. And I think you will see it in August 2021. If you don't, all the pieces and the chessboard are being positioned in August 2021 to allow that very soon thereafter. So last but not least, pile 2, I also had a couple of cards to look at astrological energy around you in this period. So, firstly, we have Aries, which is about ambition, about getting forward, about the natural leadership. So that's very much fitting with this feeling I have that you're being prepared to move up the ladder, to be a leader in whatever form that you want to be in your career and your creativity. The tarot card that's associated with it is the Emperor. So that is the natural leader again. And Aries is ambitious and is focused on ambition and will have the battles if they need to have it. And so that's good. But you're using also swords energy. So you're using intellect and air energy as well, which is very helpful. But it's certainly saying don't lose that sense of willpower and passion for what you do. And then we have a trine. Now a trine is an aspect in your chart that is about ease. So again, I think it's saying something is going to come to you. It'll make you realize that you aren't a hostage to bad fortune all the time. If you felt unlucky, there's a luckier energy coming in for you. It's ease between particular planets. So I'm going to actually get the cards and I'm going to go through them now to see what planetary energy we're talking about. So I'm just going to shuffle the cards and then I'm just going to go through them one at a time until I find the first 2 planets from this deck. So just bear with me while I do that. You can take a couple of seconds to get there. Okay, we've got Chiron, which is an asteroid rather than a planet, but operates in the same, and Uranus. Okay, Uranus. So basically the energies there, that is the breakthrough type of energy we're seeing right there. Chiron is a healing planet. It's called the wounded healer. It does show that you've been through a lot. It also shows that you have a natural capacity to be able to help others, and that is going to be noticed. So I think for some of you with that human resources card showing up, your honor and ethics and how you deal in a difficult situation is going to be noticed. People are going to see how you are a natural leader, if for those that resonates too. And for those that are doing something creative, then it's something in what you do that will help others have a healing quality in some way, whether literal or whether emotional, in the way that people respond to what you do. If it's in relationship, then your capacity for empathy and understanding is going to be really important here, and your capacity for balance. So Temperance is the tarot card for this. Also the Hierophant, again, making me think a lot of this is about work. Uranus, the tarot card for it is the Fool. It's that innocence, as I said, that sense that you move forward with all this knowledge, but you haven't lost that sense of what's good and what you can do. It hasn't jaded you, which is really great. So, and that also connects maybe to dating and creativity in terms of new experiences or reviving that sort of fun in a relationship. There's going to be an ease between things that are new and evolutionary and moving in the right way, between that your healing and your helpful and empathic nature and your capacity to deal with change and to operate with the energy of change and evolution. So that's part of this. You're going to be recognized in some way for this, and that will help you move out of what was a situation that felt stuck. But I do think you were there for a reason, Pile 2. It was there for your evolution. It's that concept that something isn't being done to you, it's being done for you. And that's the understanding. That's the aha moment about the Wheel of Fortune reverse, that sometimes the difficulties that we go through are the things that create the things of beauty in our life. It's like the oyster with the pearl. It's grit in the oyster that creates the pearl, and it's grit in our life sometimes that creates the pearl of our life, so to speak. So I think you're about to sort of move into something really powerful and evolutionary for you and reviving, but I do think you've had your work cut out for you. So well done to you, because I think you've done the work you needed to do, and you've had the getting of wisdom, so to speak. So Pile 2, I hope that resonates for August 2021 for you, and I hope that you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so, because I'd love to see you in future readings. And if you have any comments on this, I'd love to hear about how it resonates for you, what it's meaning in your life. Beyond that, I hope to see you in the next reading. Welcome, Pile 3. The cards that were under your crystal are some oracle cards that were pre-pulled, pre-chosen for this particular reading, and we'll get to that a bit later. But how I want to start is with a particular tarot deck and ask for Spirit to give me the 3 key themes that you will be dealing with during August 2021. They could be related or they could be quite separate, but they'll give us an idea about where your energy and your focus and some of the greatest benefits or challenges or issues that you need to deal with might be arising. So Spirit, can you give me the first theme, key theme for Pile 3 for August 2021? So it looks to me, Pile 3, like you've been hiding your light under a bushel a bit. You've been a little bit nervous about coming out and showing something about yourself, whether it's your creativity, whether it's your career, whether it's in friends and family, whether it's in a love relationship. But you've been spending a bit of time, I think, on your own. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It does look like in August 2021 you're going to start thinking about what conclusions you came to, an almost meditative time that you've been through. And that could have been somewhat enforced. We have all dealt with lockdowns and all of those sorts of issues and the isolation that can sometimes come with that from the pandemic, and that's certainly still the case in certain countries and so forth around now. So, but hopefully we are starting to see people coming out of that sort of type of environment and type of restriction. So there's certainly a sense that you're going to be coming out of that. you've been contemplating on both an emotional level and I think also on a material level whether something in your life is giving the return that you wanted it to give and whether it's something that you want to move on with. So the first thing I'm getting is it could be around a relationship. It could be that there's a relationship here and it's possible that it's of some long term, or that when it first started it had elements about it that connected with what you really wanted from when you were young about love, your first sort of concepts about what love should be, or even some of the family programming that can be around relationships. There's something there where I think you're looking at, well, was that sort of young dream what I wanted, or is this connecting with that if I still want it? Because the Seven of Pentacles is reversed, and when the Seven of Pentacles is the right way up, it's about you've built the sort of foundation and you're starting to get the investment return on it. So it just feels like you're really contemplating whether a relationship you've been in, or even the relationship patterns that you've had in the past, if you're not with someone at the moment, have really been authentic to you, or whether you are maybe living into a dream or a concept of relationship rather than what you really want. So for instance, you might be someone who thinks relationship has to be all about romance, cards and flowers and gifts and so forth. But the reality is who you are at a core is more about stability and commitment, for instance, and it's more about the material things. So I've done a separate reading around love language that you might want to check out if this resonates, because it is all about what do we really want. And it just looks to me like you've been sorting that out and working out whether you've been putting that energy in the wrong place. This could also be around career or creativity. You could be also maybe following the patterns of what your family thought, your ancestry. Everybody in our family's been a lawyer, so I'm a lawyer sort of feeling. There's something here where you're really looking at whether those decisions are right. And you're ready. You look like you're ready to start to come out about all of that. And this could be other things too. It could be your relationship nature on other levels and coming out, so to speak. There's something like that for you in August 2021, but you've done the work. You've taken the time out to do it. I don't think it's been easy. I think it's taken a lot of really deep soul searching. So, Spirit, what's another key theme for pile 3 during August 2021? Okay, so I think this is picking up some of this energy potentially for some of my pile 1. It could be separate as well for others. One of the key things here, I think, is it's showing again that you are looking at the material side of something in your life, career, relationships. I think for a lot of you it's around relationship, it's around what kind of relationship you want, how you want to have a family, your connection with your family, all that sort of thing. There's a very strong feeling of that around this. But you aren't happy. You haven't been happy with exactly how things are in whatever way this is. You haven't felt fully able to commit to that, or you felt that someone around you hasn't fully committed to you. And it's had a little bit of an effect of dimming your light. So again, it's like, I think it looks like, that's what it looks like. It looks like compromise. It looks like you're someone who really wants to make other people happy, whether it's your family, your friends, could even be in your career, love life, all of that sort of thing. But in doing that, you haven't fully owned who you are and what you want. And there is so much light in you and so much capacity for passion and for creativity and whatever it is that you want to do in manifesting this Page of Wands. But you suppress your own light really because of the expectations of others or what they need, or that you don't want to seem competitive. And I think that Spirit is saying here that it is time to stop hiding your light under a bushel. It is time to really start to own who you are and make those decisions, because it's not wrong to not commit to something that's not doing that. Or if you're in relationships where people are suppressing your energy or very competitive with you, then you shouldn't commit to that. You need to commit to things where you are seen and celebrated for who you are. So, Spirit, this is some big stuff for pile 3. So what is another key theme for them in August 2021? I do think that quite a few of my pile 3 may move on from a relationship in this period of time, or start to make the decisions about whether they want to do that, whether that is the right thing to do. It could be a love relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be in your work environment and you need to leave that work environment because it's not supporting you. It could be in any aspect of your life, but I do think a lot of this is emotional. Even if it's in work, it's about the emotional benefits that you're getting because you're just not getting them at the moment. But the good news with the Ten of Swords reversed is that you've been through, and this is picking up the Four of Swords reversed as well too, you've been through the dark night of the soul about this. You really do know. You've sorted it out. You've got the idea about what you want and you are ready to stand on your own 2 feet. If you are in a job, you may well be someone who would be better suited to running a business, and you're really starting to see how you could do that because this is the card of the self-made person. But if it's relationship, it's saying that you can stand on your own 2 feet. So you make the decision knowing that. It's like, it does look to me like some of you, again, I think maybe from even your childhood or your sort of like early sort of adolescence, young adulthood or whatever, you had a sense about what relationships should be and you were trying to live into that. And now you know that's not giving the return to you. The beautiful thing is you also know that you don't have to compromise, and that's the sense I keep getting about this, that you've compromised to keep the peace, to make other people happy, to fit in with ideals that aren't really yours on an authentic level. But you've realised this. I mean, good on you, Pile 3. You've really seen this, and you're starting to own that your needs and your desires and your personality and all of that is what is key here, and that you can be on your own in whatever form this is happening rather than be in the wrong relationship, wrong friendship, wrong job. And that allows you to make the decision, because it may be that it isn't that you walk away from any of this. It might be that you just restructure it, or it might be that you start to shift it a bit so it's not so much about you always supporting others and doing what they want, but you start to put some boundaries around it. When you know you are okay on your own, that's when you can be strong and true to yourself in relationship. And that's the really strong energy around this. So I wanted to look at both career and also relationship with 2 different tarot decks that are related to that. I'm actually going to start with relationship and then we'll move to career. And I'm starting with relationship because I do think wherever this is, whether it's in your career or whether it's more generally, and I think for most of you it's in love life or friendships or family, relationship is very key to this period of time for you, Pile 3. So Spirit, give me a little bit more information about relationship energy for Pile 3 in August 2021. So this is again confirming, I think, that there is some key decisions that you're going to be making in this period of time about what sort of relationships you want, how you want to relate to others. So it's confirming that with Judgment there. Judgment is almost to me a time clock around things. There are some decisions you need to make in this period of time because there are some options that maybe disappear if you don't take them. So it could be that there's someone that maybe really suits your relationship nature and it's very different to what everybody expects of you, but you make the decision to move into that relationship because that's more authentic to you. If you don't make that decision, the person may then not be available. So it's that kind of thing. If it's around a job and career or creativity, you have an opportunity, but you need to make the decision quickly. And the tricky thing is that you find it hard to make that decision. But I think that if you really start to own how far you've come, you'll be able to turn that 2 of Swords around and be able to make the decision in the time frame that you need to make it. But you've definitely been through the ringer with emotional stuff. And I think for many of you, it comes from family sort of concepts and so forth. Some of you may have been you might be in a relationship and have family, and there are all those sort of issues, and you're not necessarily getting the nurturing that you're giving to others. So there is something in all that space for you that you have an opportunity to really make some decisions about, which is great, but it's not been easy. And I think that what Spirit's saying is that you're not going to go into this brashly. So if you're worried you're going to hurt people, with the Knight of Wands reversed, you're not going to go into it brashly. You're going to go into it in a very considered way. You're a kind person. You're very kind. And I think in actual fact, that's part of the reason why you are where you are at the moment, because you are so kind and so empathic. So you do need to kind of demand that back as well. But you're not going to blow up the world with what you do. You are going to be able to position yourself better. So, and if relationships move away from you because of this, then it is to let the right relationships in. But I think for many of you, I get the sense that it's more that you feel stronger in yourself, and then you can gently but firmly make the decisions that you need to make. So let's also look at career, because for some of you this might be in your career. It is possible that it is around re-establishing yourself and your boundaries around career as well. Or it could be that career isn't a major theme, but we all still have a career or a creative passion or a hobby or something like that. So let's ask Spirit what is around your career, creativity, manifestation, personal brand, all those sorts of things for August 2021. So I think this is indicating that a lot of this isn't in the workplace. I mean, for some of you it may be, but I think this is really some other sort of energy around it here. There is some connection in as much as there is a similar thing for you, because we've got the 10 of Cups effectively twice here. There could be for some of you a similar pattern around whether you're emotionally getting what you really wanted from your career in the same way as work. I just think for many of you, you've done what other people expected of you. So it could also be in your career. But I feel as though if it's in career in an organisation, if there has been that, there's really been an inspiration and idea about how to make that better. Because for all that we've got the brand 10, which is like the 10 of Cups reversed, we've also got the brand Ace, and that is a blessing around that. So certainly if any of this has been around your work, it suggests that there is an opportunity to position yourself for a new role, a new career. If it's a creative thing for your brand to really start to be seen, if you felt like you've put the wrong effort into the wrong thing, then there's a new energy coming through for you. It is suggesting here that you're just at the beginning of something around your career. Many of you may literally be something like an intern or somebody new. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're young. You could be switching careers, or you could be going from a conventional career to a creative one. So there's a great period of learning around you for all of this, but there is very much a sense of blessing with it, with the brand Ace there. But with the 2, that's like the 2 of Wands. You've just started to get the vision about what you want to do. So it may well be that the connection here is that once you start to stand for who you truly are in your relationships, that will trickle over into your work as well. And whatever stage you're at, and as I say, whether it's creative or whether it's a career, it takes you in a brand new direction, and it's a really great direction for you that has a lot of promise. But I think it's sort of bubbling under the surface and may reflect it for most of you. I think most of you it's more around personal relationships. So let's have a look at the oracle cards that were with your crystal. So we'll start off with ones that are about love. See what oracle cards Spirit wanted you to see for love. Well, that's lovely, because I do think most of you are going through a process, as I say, where you need to recalibrate relationships, and it could include love. But this does suggest that it will turn out well, and you will have the inner peace, So that's the sense I get. I don't get the sense that in many cases this is going to be so revolutionary that you leave situations. I think you're going to fix them in some way. The only thing you might do is leave the patterns before. So if you have been on your own, by shifting those patterns, you're going to bring in the abundance and the inner peace. It's a very positive energy around love for you, and around getting that right and getting sort of more reciprocity around it. So that's lovely. Let's have a look at spiritual energy around you during August 2021. So this is the sphere of light, and it talks about healing hands. So I think that's you. That's this empathic, kind person you are, and you are very supportive to people. You're not going to lose that. It's just putting some boundaries around it. It's the empathic qualities, and you have that on steroids, basically. Sometimes that can be something that holds us back when we're empathic, but remember that we can also use it to state our requirements firmly and kindly, and I think that you'll be able to do that. This also talks about animal wisdom. So If you have pets, that could be very supportive as you go through these sort of processes. It might be that you connect to animal totems on some level. You might dream about animals. Just pay attention to that. If you do dream about animals or you start seeing a particular animal around all the time, maybe look up what its associations are symbolically, because there's something there potentially for you, pile 3. So let's look at energetic and general well-being energy for you as well. Okay, Spirit's doubling down. It's saying again, the self-reflection that you've been doing, and you have been doing it. This isn't Spirit saying that you have to start doing it. It's obviously something we should do in our whole life and always do it, but you have been doing a lot of it. What that is leading to is new beginnings for you. So Spirit is again saying this is the work that you've put into this, and the honesty that you've put into it is going to really start to pay off. You're going to start to see shifts in relationships around you, shifts in how happy you are in relationships, and indeed shifts around your career. So let's finish off with a couple of astrological cards for astrological energy for you for August 2021. Okay, and you've got 2 planets, and again, they're very positive here. So Mercury is about communication. So I do think this is a time when you're going to start to communicate more right from the beginning. It was there right at the beginning. Communicate more about what you need in relationships, in work, in whatever it might be. The tarot card that's associated with Mercury is a magician. So it reminds you that you have all the skills and capacities that you need to do this, that you are an authentic, strong person in and of yourself. In fact, far more advanced than possibly you give yourself credit for, and not to lose focus on that, and not to sort of fall back into thinking, well, maybe, I have to be what other people want. No, this is time for you to be saying who you want to be and what you want. And it is something that you've come through thinking it. You are someone who needs to feel philosophically happy with your decisions, and then you can communicate it well, because this card says I think, and that's what Mercury does. Jupiter is the great benefic. It's the tarot card of the Wheel of Fortune. So there is a sense of really fortunate things coming in for you. That abundance very much connects to that. And it's about growth. The phrase for it is I grow. It is the planet of luck and ease and expansion. So it's very positive. This very much says that by communicating more about what you want and who you are, you will bring in great growth. And it is the universe saying, we understand that you've done the work and this is time for you to grow. So it's really very positive, but it's not been easily won. You've been through a lot, and there probably will still be some residual feelings as you go through it, but back yourself, pile 3, because you really do have the capacity to do this gently, firmly, and effectively. So I hope that resonated for you. I hope that it's helpful for you in August 2021 and going forward. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so, because that way you'll know whenever there's new readings for you. And I'd certainly love to see you in future readings. And if you have any comments or thoughts on this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments as well, to know how it's resonated and how you've really taken this on and you really do believe in yourself. I'd love to hear that that's the case, because I think you've done the work, as I said. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings.